So this picture here represents one of the royal monarchy's greatest mysteries. Most people refer to this painting as the two princes in the tower, and it's because these two little kids here, one of them was supposed to be king and one was his little brother. This is what we know about the two little boys. So these children were sons of King Edward IV. He suddenly died in April of 1483. This meant that his oldest son, Edward, who would be Edward V, was supposed to be king, but the problem was that he was only 12 years old. So to make up for this, they ended up appointing the Duke of Gloucester, who was King Edward's brother and the boy's uncle, as their protector. He was supposed to help the little boy rule until he was old enough to rule by himself. However, he was not happy about this. He was extremely jealous. He was said to hate that the boys were in his way of actually becoming king. So he took advantage of something that his brother had done in the past. You see, King Edward IV had a history of having a bunch of illegitimate children, so he took advantage of this. The Duke of Gloucester ended up declaring the two little boys, Edward V and Richard, as illegitimate children. This meant that they had absolutely no right to the throne, and it was basically his for the taking, which he did end up taking over, and he changed his name from the Duke of Gloucester to King Richard III. Meanwhile, the two little boys were said to have been banished to the Tower of London. They were essentially living there. A lot of people who worked at the palace were said to have seen them playing around. They were delivered food often until one day they were not seen again. They simply just vanished. The last time the boys were seen alive was in the summer of 1483, just a few months after their father had died. Then in July of 1674, almost 200 years later, some people were remodeling the stairs at the Tower of London, these stairs here in the photo. As they were doing that, they ended up discovering two wooden boxes underneath these stairs, and when they opened them, they found two small skeletons. Since then, people have been obsessed with determining if these skeletons belong to these two little boys. There was one scientist who was determined to find out if they did belong to them, and at the end of his tests, he concluded that they did belong to the two little boys, but people are still skeptical because he seemed to be biased towards his answer. To this day, we don't know whose those skeletons are, and we don't know what exactly happened to the little boys, but it's fair to say we know who could have done it.